Hi, I'm Sheena Bove, and I wanted to discuss the topic mentioned in Chapter 2, Design as Applied Perception, with Colin Ware. So, design as applied perception. Ware mentions that vision is the dominant perceptual system, and more than 70% of our receptors are visual receptors. He goes on to talk about the 3 stages of the visual system, and these are the stages at which we perceive images. So first, the visual image is analyzed into color, motion, and the elements of form. Then the visual world is segmented into 2D patterns and regions. And then a few complex objects can be held in the visual working memory. He also talks about the Gestalt laws, which are proximity, continuity, symmetry, similarity, common fate, common region, and connectedness. And these are really important when it comes to designing. These laws have also served as a basis for many other theories. And then we'll talk about cross-cultural validity, which I'll get into a little bit more in the next slide. But aspects of data displays can easily be transferred across cultures, but they may have different connotations. For example, colors. The color red may signify danger in Western cultures, and in other cultures, the color red may signify purity. So you can get some very different meanings there. And of course, the first impression that people have of a product makes a big difference in how they perceive other aspects of the product. Alright, so I'm going to talk a little bit about a paper that was presented at CHI 2014, quantifying the visual preferences around the world. So as I mentioned earlier, first impressions determine how we perceive other attributes of a product. So when it comes to designing a web page, you want to make sure that that you give off the right impression to the right group that you're targeting. So this experiment explores how visual preferences differ and how they can be predicted. So they studied 40,000 participants of various backgrounds using a set of 430 websites. They used a rating system to quantify subjective attributes such as visual appeal, colorfulness, visual complexity, etc. They came up with 3 main contributions. The first one was to identify demographic factors that influence visual preferences. The next is that they developed a computational model that combines demographic information with computational image metrics, so like the colorfulness and visual complexity. Then they included the first public data set on visual appeal, or that was the goal at least. Okay, so the experiment was about 10 minutes long for each participant, and they were asked to rate visual appeal on a scale from 1 to 9. And the screens were shown for 500 milliseconds to get that first impression. Demographics such as gender, culture, and location heavily influence the visual appeal, or that's what they found from the experiment. And the experiment was designed with 2 main goals in mind. The first was to compare participants' first impressions of a website aesthetics across a variety of demographic backgrounds, and then to develop predictive models that would account for demographic differences in the perception of visual appeal. So what they found with the demographics affecting visual preferences were pretty interesting. So they found that participants under 20 years of age and over 50 years of age actually preferred high colorfulness, while participants aged 31 through 40 seemed to prefer less. They also found that women overall preferred more colorfulness and visual complexity compared to men. They also found that some countries preferred the lowest visual complexity while others preferred the highest. Now, one thing that they did kind of, so they did find that visual preferences could vary substantially based on many different factors, such as age and gender and location or culture. Now, one thing that they did kind of miss with this experiment was how to, or determining the underlying reasons for the visual preferences, and it looks like it's something that they plan on exploring later, but we kind of need to understand that in order to develop the predictive models that account for those demographic differences. And some of my references. So the study done at CHI 2014, or presented at CHI 2014, quantifying visual preferences around the world, and of course our textbook, HCI Models, Theories, and Frameworks, Chapter 2. All right, thank you.